Hey everybody, it's Goblet and welcome back to another premiere draft of Final Fantasy. Without further ado, let's get into the pack one, pick one, where we opened a great rare. Xenos over here can wipe pretty much the whole board. You do make sure that your opponent gets to keep one of their cards. But then if you kill that final creature as well, you flip this into a giant 8/8 flyer that does make it so you win the game if your opponent loses, but in 1v1 that's kind of already the case. This card is just incredible. It's already really good on the front half, so if you ever manage to flip it into an 8/8 flyer, that's just kind of the gravy on top there. It's just a fantastic way to start a draft, so happy to take Xenos here. Pick two, the black card in this pack is super filler, so I'm not just going to stick to monocolored for now. We'll go off color for some removal between a Thunder Magic and a White Aura Sight. Those are both really nice removal spells. Honestly, really comparable in power level. I do generally prefer the Aura Sight a little bit. Just a huge fan of getting some ramp off of your removal at the same time. Plus, this can exile any type of non-land permanent, not just blowing up creatures like Thunder Magic. So I'll take the Aura Sight here. Another option is Town Greeter. Golgari green-black is a very good archetype in this format, and it cares about self-mill quite a bit, so the Town Greeter fits super nicely into green-black. Pick number three. We do have a Darkness Crystal. This is glacially slow, like all of the other crystals, but if the game does go very long, then this can be a huge win condition. It's really hard to beat this if the game manages to go long. The problem is that you're going to draw it sometimes when your opponent's on like Boros aggro, and you really need to be impacting the board. So this can get you killed and can feel like a mulligan on occasion, but when it doesn't, when it is a long game, it's going to win pretty much every time. I'm generally not a fan of high variance cards like that are like really good in one specific situation, quite bad in others. But I think this pack is weak enough to just take the Darkness Crystal here. I mean, the best cards are in blue here with the Dragoon's Wyvern. I think that's about it for like really premium cards. Yeah, I'll take the Darkness Crystal here. Pick number four, we get another pretty good black card with Gaius Van Baelsar. Pretty easy to find a board state where this is pretty valuable. So I like this quite a bit, especially if you draft around it a little bit. Make sure to take some of the heck dies, like a 2-mana 1/1 with a good enter effect. That way you have really expendable creatures to sacrifice to this card. That'll help add to its flexibility. But there's positions where your opponent has a Saga creature on board and you don't, and then you just have them sack an enchantment and you don't sack anything. There's positions where they have a creature token on board and you don't. You have them sack that and you don't sack anything, so on and so forth. But here is that heck dice I was talking about that does make Gaius even better, as you can now just sacrifice your 1/1 that's sitting around and make them sacrifice something better. So happy to take that. Pick number six. Best card here is honestly just the Dreams of Laguna card draw out of blue. And we've only got one white spell here. Everything else is in black, so we are not tied to that secondary color. So I'll speculate towards Dreams of Laguna. Resentful Revelation, similarly great card draw, but that is on color to our main super deep color, so we'll take that here. Pick number eight. It's not the most exciting. I don't think any of these are particularly good. You're Not Alone is quite efficient. If you're a nice aggressive deck, it's a good combat trick. But everybody else is super filler, so I guess I'm speculating on You're Not Alone. Pick 9, another Resentful Revelation. Happy to see it. Also the Town Greeter Wield, looking like an excellent draft pod here in terms of card quality that's flying around. Namazu Trader, the only black spell in this pack, did wheel. It's because it's super filler. I'd rather speculate on the Queen. Pick 11, Realm Sketching is solid with, specifically with the cards that care about casting spells that cost 4 or greater. So with Sahagin, if we're like a Sahagin-based blue-black deck, that's a 2-mana 1/3, gets a +1/+1 counter on unblockable every turn you cast a 4-mana or more non-creature spell. Both Dreams of Laguna and Realm Sketching work great with that, because when you flashback the dreams, you trigger Sahagin. When you cast the Realm Sketching, you trigger Sahagin. Pick 12. nonsense over here. Take a warrior sword. Couple cards deep into a bunch of different colors. We're really only tied to black right now. So if we open up a great off-color rare in any color, we can tie that into our black deck here and choose that as a spot to be. Pack 2, pick 1. This is not a great off-color rare. Do get a Vanille, which is pretty great in green, but the black spells are also some of the best cards in the pack. Sephiroth's Intervention and Vane's Treachery, both super efficient, super powerful removal. I'll just take Sephiroth's Intervention here. I think it's honestly on par with like Shiva and Vanille in terms of power level. Just great targeted removal. Pack 2, pick 2. Shinra Reinforcements is the best black spell here, which is a pretty significant hit in power level, overtaking something like a Ilmeg Pixie, a Torgal, or even a Fire Magic here. I think with the spells we have, I would like to take a blue, white, or red one here. Even a White Mage's Staff is quite good. I think definitely better than Shinra Reinforcements. I think I want to go with Ilmeg Pixie here, maybe move towards blue-black. This card is awesome. 2 mana, 2/1 flyer, great cheap evasive threat, and it sets up your draws throughout the game with all those surveils. Card is very impressive. Well, that didn't work out great, because now pick 3 has nothing, really. If we splash around, we go Grixis Control here with Sorceress's Schemes to pick up a Sephiroth's Intervention, recast it later. This is a lot better with a really cheap removal like Thunder Magic, so you can recast it the turn you cast this. But if the game goes long, the flashing back this multiple times, turning this into 2 different removal spells off 1 card, is quite valuable. Alternatively, we hop on a green here with Xanarkand to get the Gigantic Hero on a land that prevents Flood. It's one of the two, I think. I'm going to go for Sorceress's Schemes here. I like the idea of Grixis Control. Had a lot of success with that before in the Arena Direct when a collector booster box with Grixis Control. So see if we can get some of that going here, and we really can't. This is a rough pack for us. Pack 2 so far. This is just a really bad pack. Even if we were like green, the best card is like an Ochu, I guess. This pack is pretty empty. The one great card is like specifically green-white. It's kind of the only person who gets a good card here. This is the green-white player in the pod. I guess we take for rare. We need some amount of filler in case we get completely cut, which is possible at this rate. Pick 5. A second white Aura Sight. Pick 5. Does have me interested in the white again. Maybe we're not married to blue still. Not married to this whole Grixis plan. Because, White Aura Sight is way better than every single card that was in pick 4. Best card in this pack, too. Garland and Syncopate are like really close, though. We'll take Aura Sight. Pick 6, another weak pack. Kind of hard in black-white to have enough artifacts to be triggering the Galacat consistently. I mean, not triggering, but to have it getting the buff, making it a 3/3 Flying Vigilance. Not a huge fan of that here, but Crystal Fragments is really slow. My City and Elder, even if we are, Grixis Control doesn't do much. Just take a black-white duel. Pick 7. Not a big fan of any of these, but if we end up in white, Dwarven Castle Guard is fine filler. There's a Suplex out of red that works great with Sorceress's Schemes, great for the Grixis Control deck where we only need a single red source. Reno and Rude, 2 mana, 2/1 Menace at worst. If we have like an expendable Heck Dies on board and we exile something good, when we hit our opponent we can cast that too, which is cool. Magitech Armor came around pick 11. 4 mana for a 4/4 and a 1/1. It's great stats. Solid stuff in white here. Choco Mog wheeled all the way around. It's the only white card in the pack. No one's playing Selesnya, but that is going to the case somewhat often. Not Selesnya specifically, but there are 10 different 2-color pairs and only 8 drafters. Pack 3, pick 1. There's Gilgamesh in here, but we have no job select equipment, so this is not going to be a Gilgamesh deck. There's Ambrosia, and we have been going deeper on white. Ambrosia's pretty solid. A third Resentful Revelation is fine. I think we're locking in on white at this point, the way that this draft has progressed, so we'll take Ambrosia here. Evil Reawakened is decent, but this is not a self-mill deck in any way, so we're never doing anything insane with it, just reanimating something that's traded off, which is just fine. Still better than You're Not Alone, probably. Is it better than Marlboro? I guess if we take it and then we pick up some Marlboros, that's where we can go pretty crazy with it. Take the Evil Reawakened here. 8 mana is real hard to get to. 8 mana is a lot for a non-ramp deck, but we have 2 white Aura Sight, and we can play the Darkness Crystal as well, so it's like we have 3 actual ramp spells towards Arden. This makes him cost 1 less, and these tap for 1 mana. So despite being Orzhov, we're a tiny bit rampy. This card is extremely powerful. It's very difficult to lose once you have that on the board, because you're getting life-linking 5-power hits every turn, which is insane. So we definitely take Arden there. Now we take a Primal Garuda. It's a shame he was in the same pack as that white Aura Sight, because if that white Aura Sight was in pick 4, there'd be a slam dunk. The Aura Sight is very good with the Arden here. Pick 5, we got a White Mage's Staff, a Tonberry, Black Mage's Rod. These are all solid. We'll go for the Staff here. Gain some life and try to use that life pocket to prolong the game long enough to maybe get to 8. Double Arden. So now we're taking stuff like Blitzball if we see it pick 7. If we're going to have 2 8-drop insta-win cards, Jesus. This Evil Reawakened goes incredibly hard now, by the way, because Evil Reawakened on an Arden is one of the ways to get it out really cheap. And we have 2 Resentful Revelations for self-mill. Now we can go ahead and draft the Shinra reinforcements as well. Fill our grave for the Ardyns, or potentially get them in there for the Evil Reawakened. Pick 9. Doing some ramp, I don't mind an Anima. Pick 10. Nonsense, I'm not playing a Monk's Fist in here. Super filler. Early creature, and I want my early creatures to be creatures at this point, with double Arden, 1 in creatures in grave. Sadly, no more ramp. We didn't get another Blitzball or Aura Sight or anything like that. But again, we have the possibility of Evil Reawakening. We do have 3 ramp spells towards the Ardyns, and we have a lot of cheap creatures to just buy time and prolong the game. So this deck looks solid here. And I don't even have to do any deck building, because this is 23 non-land cards. This is just the deck. So we'll call it a deck here, hop into the gameplay, see how this thing does. The double Arden deck, I'm actually going to go for 18 lands here, so just cut our most filler creature, something like Chocomog, for rare, probably one of these 3s. Yeah, it makes sense to me. We'll go for rare. I've not really had the enter effect be particularly good in the majority of games. So 18 lands for the double 8-drop, call it a deck there. And now we'll hop into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the draw for game number 1. This opening hand is fine. We've got like early creatures to trade off with and the Aura Sight to get us ramping. So it does fit with the deck's strategy, which is let's just grind things out a little bit until we draw into one of the double Arden. So the ramp does help quite a bit here. Our opponent starts with Dreams of Laguna. On their blue-black deck, there's Lock Coal. And there's one of the Ardyns right there. Beautiful. There's a Castle Guard. I should have played the Castle Guard without playing a land this turn. In case we hit a land off the top, I could sack the Castle Guard and play their land, because we want to make sure that we're playing 7 lands this game to get to Arden alongside our Aura Site. So I get to draw a card, discard a card here, gain back their life, but then I get to Garuda their Lock Coal unless they want to counter my Garuda. And if they counter my Garuda, that's 1 less counter spell for Arden. If they tapped out here, I'd probably go for Aura Site instead of Garuda, since we do have the Anima to ramp into now. But I would rather Garuda get countered than Aura Site get countered again towards the Arden, and they do have all 4 mana still held up here. I think I also should have technically done this main phase too, because we could have, with Reno and Rude, maybe gotten a Sephiroth's Intervention off top of their deck. Although, I guess not, because they're going to blow up Reno and Rude anyway. So it plays out fine. But I should have done that post-combat. There's an Ultimecia. We can Aura Sight her. And I have the mana up for Ambrosia. That's pretty cool. Ambrosia back the Garuda, since it'll get sacked anyway. Stopping our upkeep in our main phase. Said I could do it then, but I think I'm just doing it during their turn. Alright, would you like to counter this? In which case Anima resolves. Unless you have double counter spell. Put Garuda on top? No thanks, I'll put Garuda on bottom. Alright, fair enough. Draw. That land is nice. Where's Anima hit here? Choco Mog. I forgot this thing has landfall. This is the Chocobo. Despite being a white creature, this is a white Chocobo. So it has the Chocobo landfall triggers. So we missed a point of damage there. They're already dead to Choco Mog. I don't want to overcommit here and try to get Arden down. I already have a way to try to hit lethal. Well, it's 1 spell down. Just tap out before I even go to combat. I would do it. So Choco Mog isn't lethal anymore, but we still hit for 8. They go to 2 life total. This is still a huge deal. Alright, there's the concession from our opponent. Just some good work from just the regular commons and uncommons. Didn't even need to get to the art in that game. Great stuff from the deck. We are 1-0 heading into game 2. Alright, here we are for game number 2. Another fine opening hand. This one's a little slow, but Actize is pretty good against match deck infantry. I mean, obviously the infantry is going to be, 2 or 3 creatures off just the 1 spell, which is kind of nasty, but this has the 1 power it needs to trade into that. Not against Zac, but then we just kill the Zac, which is fine too. We've drawn Arden again, but this is the second Arden. This is the different Arden, so it's fine. So it's not lucky at all. We drew a different bomb rare this game. I promise. Okay. We do have our 1 reanimation spell. If this reinforcements mills the other Arden and then we draw into that, that'd be pretty funny. But obviously if we mill the reanimation spell, that's sad. Nope. Mill a Choco Mog and some plains, that's all fine. We need a 3rd swamp. More than anything. So that just digs us a little closer there. Sure. Kill Zac and infantry here. Just trying to prolong the game towards the 8 mana for Arden. They are not a color pair I'm worried about them countering anything here, so we can play the Auracite whenever we want and then the Arden whenever we want. But I don't really want to just exile one infantry, so lead with the match tech armor here. Now, I'm honestly not in love with exiling a Chocomog either, because it does sacrifice itself soon enough, and we have the 4/4 blocker for it. So, I guess I will exile the infantry. Oh. Oh. If I had milled one Arden, I would take this reanimation, but I think I'm actually on Darkness Crystal here. Darkness Crystal is gross against Saga creatures, because that thing's going to sack itself eventually, and when it does, it just goes under the Darkness Crystal, and I can cast it against them. And as I said when we drafted this card, super, super bad when you're under pressure. There's just so much mana. But in a spot like this, where they're not hitting us at all, this game's already going pretty long, this is going to be exceptional. Not only is it going to win the game by itself if they don't interact with it in some way, but it's also letting us cast our Arden next turn off the cost reduction. Bruce Tarl. Double strike lifelink swing. I think I just let them gain all that life because I can exile both the cards under the crystal. This is insane. I honestly don't even need this Arden. Yeah, I mean, they just... I drew Xenos as well. They didn't even know how bad they had it there, but the Darkness Crystal already was all they needed to see to scoop them up there, and that's fair. Because, yeah, now I just play their Hugo against them. I get my own double strike lifelink swing on the Magitech armor here, and then the Chocomog dies to its trigger and goes into the Darkness Crystal. I can play that onto our board. Yeah, Darkness Crystal alone was going to win that game, but, you know, just for good measure, we drew a couple other rares. So 2-0 heading into game 3. This could be a bad idea, but as we saw last game, Darkness Crystal can kind of win it by itself. We do need some creatures to trade off and do some blocking for us, ideally, but that's what the Resentful Revelation is here for, hopefully. Just find some early creatures, and here are some early creatures. That said, 4 mana is a critical point for this hand. For Darkness Crystal Sephiroth's intervention here. The Auracite as well, but Auracite does need double white, which this swamp is not going to help with. I think 4 mana is important enough to take the swamp here over a creature, especially because I did draw into the 3 mana creature at least. Here we are against a blue-white deck. A lot of flyers and artifacts and stuff there. Uh-oh. Another double white spell could be bad, but we'll see. Oh, we're gonna have all the mana in the world once we do hit the second planes, so that's nice. Don't you dare hold all this mana up. Don't you put that evil on me. Alright, well. Incredible draw means now I can play an Auracite, which is sad if it gets countered, but not as bad as the Darkness Crystal getting countered. Okay. No Syncopate here. Auracite's still very good. Honestly, might be better than the Darkness Crystal on the current board. Darkness Crystal definitely better in the long run. But since there's no creatures dying on their board right now anyway, it's just tokens. The Auracite, just for the full-on ramp there, does feel superior. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't double spell here. So just play something. Taking 4 on the crackback. But then I have Auracite plus Intervention the turn after this pretty easily. If I skip the turn for Darkness Crystal. I think I can afford to do that. I go to 14, but then double removal next turn. Get far ahead there. Prima Vista actually pretty sketchy. Might have to Aura Sight the Prima Vista then. Definitely Intervention the Pixie. We want to be destroying the non-token card for sure. Yeah, let's Aura Sight the Prima Vista and Intervention the Pixie. Gain 4 this turn. Maybe I should have just attacked first. I would have been really happy with the trade. So I got, what, a 4/3 flyer under this thing? Jesus. No! Or Sight the Darkness Crystal. I was gonna say out loud, I was like, I'm not sure how many ways blue-white really has to deal with an artifact. I should have remembered Aura Sight is a way. Oh! Get back to Prima Vista? Okay, you got it. Play a Stilt Skin. Okay. We're vibing with our Darkness Crystal. I like it. I like it. We're at 16 here. Garuda kind of sucks against the Nulist, giving the pseudo vigilance, so that's disappointing. But I guess that means I just get to play the 4/3 flyer instead here. Not sure I really have the aggro spot anymore. I think 3 a turn. They're hitting 5. Yeah, no, this Darkness Crystal is here to try to grind out the long game, so let's play it nice and slow here. Oh, Jesus. Okay, well, that explains the Aura Sight on the Aura Sight last turn. That's very good. Still got a lot of outs here, mainly 2 Ardyns, but Xenos is pretty clutch here too. So 3 Insta-Win Bombers we can draw into. But that just massive collection of Aura Sights there, the double Aura Sight in a row, was really bad. The life loss from this is painful. But I have the blocker on the 5/3 if they don't hit a 3rd removal spell. 2 in the sky here. I guess I could play Primal Garuda to have 2 flying blockers. What if I attack here? Is that crazy? They're at 12. Put them to 8. And then still have 1 flying blocker up for that. Take the 2 there. I feel like it is kind of crazy to try to Primal Garuda here. And attack. Yeah, I'll play the Anima. Not an ideal draw. You got the Sleep Magic for the flyer. And they're out of cards in hand now, though. They just Dreams of Laguna for 1 more, accrue the Vista. We go to 2. Oh no, we're dead if they all attack. We go to 1 here. Rough. Yeah, we needed them to stop having removal. I mean, the white deck having a way to deal with the Darkness Crystal was pretty much what cost us the game there. That was a rough one. They attack all, we're dead to Anima's ability. Yep. Cool. Alright. Well, I think that matchup was still winnable, obviously with better draws. Our deck is loaded with ridiculous bombs, but we drew the wrong one. Darkness Crystal was not gonna win us this game. Xenos super would have, and Arden might have. Draw. That is not instant speed removal for Anima, so Anima kills us. Cool. Alright. Man, we drew real bad. That's halfway through without any other 3 rares, even if we did survive. 2-1 heading into game 4. Here we are for game 4. This is a slow hand on the draw starting on turn 3, but there we go. Drew a 2-drop. Another white deck, pretty aggressive color. It is Orzhov, but they don't have a 2-drop of their own. Battle menu? Oh, they do. It's the flexible one. Luckily our blocks are pretty good against 2-2. Miller's Resentful Revelation, not a bad mill. Two instant speed creatures in a row. I was not expecting that. Oh. Dion with another Knight token too. Yeah, Dion is Arden levels of powerful. Oh, we're gonna have to Auracite Dion immediately. Uh-oh. I like Arden, but we have one black source right now, so that's not happening. Oh, come on. That's really frustrating. We're gonna get Auracited on our Auracite 2 games in a row per game. So I've had to spend 2 removal spells and they got to keep 2 2/2s in the exchange, so they are way ahead, even though technically still got to kill Dion, so I'm not just instantly dead to him flipping. That is, again, what is so strong about him. Even if you have the removal for him, you keep those 2/2s, which is real far ahead. Part of what's so strong about Arden as well, but Arden, of course, is 8 mana. If you don't have the instant speed removal spell for Arden, then your opponent still keeps the 5/5 demon, at least one 5/5 demon. Okay, if we can stabilize, we make it to 8 mana, we win. And a 3/3 body holds them off for a second here. No, it doesn't. It's all removal all day. Auracite // battle menu. Double Dion off the triggers. We're out of cards now. I am 2 lands from playing Arden. Losing life from Anima is really painful here. But if I don't hit a land every turn, that just makes Arden take forever. Yeah. And they only hit through this if they play a removal spell, in which case I don't lose more life off of it anyway. These last 2 games are just extremely huge bummers. This is ridiculous. I have to discard Arden now to know that I'm double creaturing here. And even then I'm dead on board. Jesus, I mean, what are you gonna do? Magical Christmas Land, unbeatable. unbeatable draw from our opponent there. I mean, Dion and like 4 removal spells with the curve out. Technically 5 removal spells, but the first one they just played as a 2/2. Double slash battle menu, Aura Sight on the Aura Sight to get back the Dion, get a second 2/2. Yeah, I mean, what can you do? 2-2 it is. I think this deck is way stronger than a 2/3, so try my absolute best to rally from here. Devastating couple games in a row there. That's a hand. It's Evil Reawakened. If I have to do that on a Heck Dice, that's going to be so embarrassing. Playing against green-red Chocobos and Landfall. Yeah, they're the full-on Chocobo deck. They got the Razor Chocobo, they got the greens, they got the fat Chocobo. Zeridia. Oh man, we're on the draw again? I wasn't even paying attention, but that's not great. That is a lot of card selection. Ramp up 2 more lands onto the board. They can discard and draw 2 more times as well. But they like their hand. They are not discarding anything there. Well, we know they like their hand a lot, so I like picking up a Heck Dice here. That said, I might still just Aura Sight right now. On Rydia. If I don't, they could be getting back a fat Chocobo at least off of her ability. So we just hope they can't dump all 4 cards in their hand in one turn. If they can't, then Heck Dice is definitely hitting something. Gladiolus is the play. Well, this will be funny. All Aura Sight all day. We get to be the ridiculous amount of removal hand this time. Oh, it's just 2 removal spells, but still. Flashback a Chocobo. Shinra reinforcements. Can you mill one of our 2 Ardyns? No. But still a really good turn. Keep the pressure on and make them sack their token creature. Clive, Ifrit's dominant here. If that flips for super dead, perfectly timed Sephiroth's intervention. Because that turns into just a 9/9 that fights something and gets bigger. And yeah, if they kill Heck Dice, they take 10 and go to 2. Yeah, this thing's crazy. The Ifrit. Gladiolus, ramp up. Oh, they have a Nibelheim of Flame in their grave. That's not good for me. Xenos is actually bad on this board, awkwardly. This doesn't do anything to their board right now. Attack all block, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Literally, a basic land would have been lethal. God dang it. Xenos with the real fashionable timing on this one. When any land is better than Xenos, you know something weird is going on with the sequence of draws. Yep. Because I didn't hit a land, they get to Nibelheim a Flame, one-sided board wipe, draw 4 more cards, and have a solid shot here. I gained 3 off the T-Rex are. This is going to be a genuinely unbearable loss here if we just 0-3 off of these draws. Like, the draws were real solid for that whole start of the game, but then any land would have been lethal there. And then we hit the worst Xenos I think anyone's ever drawn in this set. A Darkness Crystal that doesn't do anything either. Wow. And then a Garuda that doesn't work against 6 toughness cards. I'm dead to trample. That's the most frustrating. 2-0 into 0-3. I think I've had all set long. This deck was way better than it drew. We did get to show off the flaw of the Darkness Crystal. We lost 2 games where we had it. However, the first game we lost with it, I think it was still going okay. The big issue they had was the Aura Sight there, but it's been a lot of drafts I've like passed up on this. There's been sealed decks, I think, that I've just not been interested in black, even though it had a Darkness Crystal, and so it is nice to show off some of those games where it's like it's just not good in specific scenarios. It is a high variance card. Incredibly good when it's good, but there's times where anything else would have been better. The fact that we drew a Xenos and it was useless was super, super rough. And we could have drawn any land in our whole deck and killed them that turn, but we didn't. So they got to play their mythic rare flashback one-sided board wipe with a draw 4 attached. Absolutely brutal way to end this draft. I think this deck is much better than a 2-3 on average. It's not perfect. It's not like a super synergistic black-white deck or anything. Definitely not traditionally synergistic. But that's what I like about it a lot, is that it's pretty unique by black-white standards. Most black-white decks are pure aggro, black-white sacrifice stuff as the main synergies. We're not doing any real black-white sacrifice stuff at all. We're doing ramp, control-y sort of stuff, like ramp and card draw trying to hit Ardyns. Double Revelation, double Aura Sight, Darkness Crystal reducing cost. I think this is a really nice synergistic deck at getting to Ardyns and casting them, which is very good and what you need when you have 2 Ardyns. So it's incredibly disappointing that we didn't cast a single Ardyn and lost the way we did there. 3 losses in a row. Really rough draws in multiple positions. This deck is far from perfect. I don't think this deck would get a 7-win run every time, but I think it's way closer to like a 5-3 on average than a 2-3. Considering the power that it has available and the ways that it has to consistently get to that power with card draw spells and ramp spells and reanimation. The reanimation working with 3 different ways to mill ourselves. Yeah, I think this deck was so much better than it managed to perform, despite the biggest weakness being some filler cheaper spells for sure. The cheaper stuff on the curve is not that great. But that was maybe not a historically bad run for the deck, because I guess we could have gotten those 3 matchups at the very start and gone 0-3, but This is not a 2-3 deck, but it sure is a 2-3 run, and that's magic for you. But that's going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube audience send some more to recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.